Hey guys, I'm Devin,
I'm Diego.
And I'm Max.
and we're Baka Burrito. Today's episode of Burrito Banter, we're going to be talking about power systems. We just have three general power systems that we're going to cover for you guys today, and they're from some of our favorite, some goofy, some not so goofy anime. And then after this, we will no longer be covering general topics. We're going to start getting real specific for you guys, so stay tuned and enjoy. So Max, if you would like to go ahead and get started, would you like to present what you're going to be talking about?
Yeah, the abilities I'm going to be talking about is Spiral Power from anime Gurren Lagann. And it's one of my favorite animes also to watch just because it's a work of art. If you haven't watched it, click off this video, go watch it, and then come right back because you're doing yourself a disservice, in all honesty. Would you guys agree on that?
I'd say
Gurren
so.
Lagann.
I mean,
It could be considered a classic.
it's definitely not for everyone. I will say that much.
It's not, but like for me, who's like a shonen jump sports anime, like just anything that's like, oh yeah, testosterone, let's go.
Like Hype Beast.
Yeah, Hype Beast, pretty much.
Yeah, for sure.
Hype Beast all the way.
Oh,
Definitely something anybody should watch. So what I'm going to be discussing is Spiral Power, which is a pretty simple concept of the idea of evolution and the ability to have willpower, the ability to keep pushing forward. And what I like about this power system is it's not very recognizable, especially right away in the anime. It takes us like a good 7-8 episodes to really start seeing Spiral Power at its fullest. It's like early on, like they hint at it, like showing symbolism for spirals, and you're like, okay, why are all these drills like rolling up?
that's why the main weapon is a drill and not a sword.
Exactly, because it's spiral shaped. But I really like it though because like it takes like the ability as far as you can take it. Like as long as you have the willpower, the ability to keep pushing forward, your spiral power can keep increasing. And obviously, it's limited based off certain people. Like certain people are more attuned to spiral power compared to others, like Simone, yeah, is very in tune with it. Not even at first, he's not that in tune at all. It's until his big brother dies that he actually becomes in tune with his spiral power.
Spoiler,
Yes, that's definitely a spoiler alert.
He was like, go watch it. Now let me go tell you the biggest spoiler.
Yeah, exactly. I told him to watch it already. If you still sit around with this video, that's on you, okay? Not on me.
Okay. I'll put in a spoiler warning at 3:11.
15 minutes.
Perfect. But pretty much, you watch as Simone tries to push himself forward, and the more he keeps becoming more independent and pushing himself to strive for greater heights, his spiral power increases. Gurren, the robot that he's operating, gets stronger as he keeps trying to get stronger, keeps trying to push forward. And I just like how it's a very simple power system, which is what I like. It's just, all right, I'm not giving up.
And it goes to absolutely bizarre places too.
Oh, no,
the fact that they start at such a small scale, like literally Gurren's head is literally this big, and then he takes one, and then he gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and now he's having a galaxy battle, butt naked in space. You know.
Well, what I especially like about the power system overall, though, it's honest with what it is. It's not trying to act like it's anything special or like has like some sort of secret mechanics. No, it's just I'm gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger, and whoever's bigger wins.
I will say there is something subtle about spiral energy as a power system in Gurren Lagann, because it really represents the themes of the show very well. A lot of anime have power systems, but I don't think a lot of anime masterfully handle their power system in conjunction with their theme as well as Gurren Lagann does. That's not to say they're not good power systems. I'm just saying because I think a big theme of Gurren Lagann is keep pushing forward despite the odds. And that's exactly what spiral energy is, you know?
Yeah, and that actually gets me to the second part I like about the power system is that certain beings in this universe can't tap into it. If you don't have the ability to evolve, you can't tap into that spiral energy. A great example of this is the Beastmen that you see throughout the first half antagonists.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that they can't use spiral energy is because they don't have the ability to mate themselves, which mate by themselves are cloned in a lab, which means that they can't tap into spiral energy, which was the whole point of what the Spiral King wanted to do.
With one exception.
With one exception, but that's because the Spiral King did that himself. Like, he actually gave that one beast man.
Yeah, because also I feel like we should tell our viewers, Lord Genome, the Spiral King, he is a human. There is some confusion about that in the fan base, even after you watch it. So I'm gonna go ahead and clear that up now. Lord Genome is a human, so he has access to spiral energy.
Yeah, he was the last spiral warrior from that planet. Correct. After the Great War had happened. And speaking of the Great War, it gets into the last point I like about the power system, and that's the spiral nemesis, or anti-spiral. It's pretty much the polar opposite of spiral energy. It's the idea of staying still, not moving forward, but actually digressing as a species. And you see that a lot with like how they're portrayed and drawn. They're drawn like these not very creative, like very blocky, they're
very rigid, very angular versus, again, it's like drills versus blocks at some point.
Exactly. And it really just screams like what the two concepts are. One idea is about pushing forward while the other's kind of trying to keep the status quo. And if there's anything that portrays that also better in the show, like I know it's not about themes or anything, but the theme where they start singing Fight the Power and stuff is literally symbolic of the anime fight and all their anime fights, and literally the concept of one group trying to push forward while another group's trying to suppress them and push them down, which I think is a really cool concept in and of itself, and an interesting like ripple or like wrinkle in the power system, because it's not just spiral energy, there's another way to use it. It's a reverse spiral in a way, which is what they were going for.
So while we're on that topic, I think it's important to mention some of the things that spiral energy accomplishes in the show. And this part is potentially a spoiler for anyone who's interested in seeing it. This is about an 8-year-old anime at this point, however, but it is on Netflix, so you could check it out. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about a couple things that are spoilers, but they are important for the argument. With spiral energy, Simone and Kamina are able to hijack gunmen, which are pretty much Gundam, like they're giant mech suits. They're able to steal an occupied gunman. They're able to steal a mobile base. He's able to combine with other parts from different gunmen. Like he gets wings at some point and flippers.
They got it.
Yeah, they're able to advance society to a point where they can literally fly and mass produce artificial gunmen who don't use spiral energy. And like I said before, they're able to use so much spiral energy that they're able to fight on the level of a galaxy. And I don't mean that like figuratively or anything. Like their robot is literally the size of a galaxy.
They're bigger than a galaxy.
It is.
They're throwing galaxies.
Correct. Yes. And galaxies are also a representation of spiral energy in the show. I think that the symbolism of the drill really is the most important part about this power system, because it's always turning, and the circle's always getting bigger, and that's why the main character is Simone the Digger. Whereas, Kamina, exactly, in any other anime, I think Kamina would have been, but it's shown that he has less spiral energy than Simone.
Exactly, and the one thing that really, in the finish off this conversation, is what Kamina says to Simone, and that's, your drill is the drill that will pierce the heavens, which I think is exactly how this power system's supposed to go. It's supposed to break through literally anything if you just believe hard enough and push yourself hard enough.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. Diego, do you have any comments or questions about spiral energy at all?
I mean, it's been a while. I'm in almost like 7-8 years since I've watched, so I don't remember much about it. But I do remember that I loved how the Gundam would just keep changing and adapting, because I mean, like, that shit was just amazing. It was just hype.
Yeah, and it's cool because spiral energy is considered like a natural energy, like in nature. That's why Lord Genome is creating these artificial. Again, he calls them beastmen. They're artificial life forms that are like humanoid animals. But that's because since they're not natural, they don't have this evolutionary power that humans have. Because he said that the biggest problem with humans is that they have a constant desire for more, to keep evolving, keep changing, and that leads to some plot points where he's trying to avoid the anti-spiral because, again, he's from a time where they lost.
Yeah, and the interesting thing, I'll just touch on one more thing, is when Simone actually fights him, he finally reawakens as a warrior in that fight and can't hold back his instincts anymore of trying to push forward. Which, in reality, he's a tragic character. He's a character who tried to protect his home, his land, and everything, and lost.
Lord Genome?
Yeah, Lord Genome's a tragic character.
Okay.
Because he tried to fight the anti-spiral, protect his people, his home, and failed. And the only way he saw to protect everyone was to unfortunately oppress them. Because if he didn't oppress them, they would push too far forward, and the anti-spiral, which eventually did roll up again because he left, would roll
Why
up.
are you? Why are you oppressing me? It's for your own good.
Literally, though, that meme, it sums up his mindset, and that's what it's such a tragedy in reality, because like he didn't want to do any of that. He really didn't. If he was up to him and he realized that they could fight back, probably. I think it was too far gone at that point. But if he told the younger him that if he waited, there'd be people that could fight against the anti-spiral, I feel like he'd be like all on board. He's like that Lancer character we talked about that would roll up again.
No. The Lancer character is the blonde-haired guy for sure.
No, I'm saying he would have been the Lancer in an alternate world.
Yeah, but he I don't think you call Lord Genome a Lancer. But before we go on that tangent, because that would be wild.
That's a whole other conversation.
I think I have one more statement about how in that episode when they all gave up, they started having visions of what their lives could be, or like a happier version of their lives, and they were content. And every single vision everyone had was a vision of their contentment. For example, Yoko was a teacher and she was like raising kids, and then she was able to finally get married, you know, and then you have Viral, who settled down, had a family, had a daughter, and
Shimon with his big brother.
Exactly, and I think the thing that's very important to note is the person that broke them out of it wasn't Simone. It was actually Kamina, even though at this point, you know, he's no longer part of the story. And it's because who he is as a person represents the theme of spiral energy. So they all saw him because spiral energy never stops. So it's their way of saying even death can't stop our power, you know? And
Maybe
that
tear up when I watch that.
And that helped everyone break out of their illusions, and some of them could have stayed and they would have been perfectly content. But this show is about growth, not contentment. And that's why I think your choice for spiral energy is fantastic, because it is a very good power system, truthfully.
Yeah. I also think, especially in this day and age, the idea of pushing forward is something that we definitely need right now. But you can cut that out if you want later.
I'm not going to cut that out. That's just a little positive tidbit for Max.
Right, that would have been perfect.
Yeah, I'm leaving it. I'm going to cut out this part where you told me to cut it out. My topic is going to go ahead and be Ka and Ba, specifically from the Millennium World arc of Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is in the DM series. So a little bit of backstory. Yu-Gi-Oh!, the original series, spans 5 seasons, 2 of which are filler. I believe those are season 2 and season 4, 3 and 4.
It was the one with the with the virtual reality world.
Waking the Dragons and the Kaiba Grand Prix. Those 2 are the filler arcs.
The virtual world wasn't a filler one?
Well, that was a filler series during season 3, but that one's shorter. So, but I guess that counts too. But anyway,
that was their way of trying to get a new toy.
Correct. The Millennium World arc takes place in season 5 when the whole crew goes back to Egypt, and you find out the origins for the game of Duel Monsters, which in real life is Yu-Gi-Oh. Um, so Ka and Ba are they're real Egyptian theories pertaining to the soul and spirit energy, but in Yu-Gi-Oh they're used in a very unique way. So I'll go ahead and start with Ba, which is what they believe everybody has. Ba is directly translates to soul or spirit energy or life force. Um, so everybody who is alive has spirit energy or life force. They have Ba. They have a set amount in their body. And what Ba is, it's used to summon and control Ka. And what Ka is, it translates to spirit or monster. Specifically, spirit as a separate entity, not soul, as in what's inside of you. And by that, they mean spirit monster. So you use Ba to power and summon your Ka, which is a monster that represents who you are as a person, who you are in your soul. Um, and everybody has a set amount of Ba. So say, Max, let's say you have a 10, right? Let's say, Diego, you have a 5, and let's say I have, for whatever reason, a 3, okay? I can use my Ba to summon a monster, which is my Ka, and this monster represents my soul. Let's say it's a dark magician, okay? Cool. So now I have a really weak dark magician as my Ka. Max, let's say he has a Karibo, but he has a 10 for Ba, so he has a super powerful Karibo. And let's say, Diego, you're in the middle, and you have...
I got an obelisk.
Yeah, well, that's a special case. I'll get to that. Let's say you have a Gaia the Fierce Knight, but you have a medium strength Gaia the Fierce Knight. So if you pour all of your Ba into this monster and it's destroyed, you die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not the Yu-Gi-Oh I want to play.
No. So the higher your Ba, the stronger your Ka. So the more soul and spirit energy you have, the stronger the monster you can summon. The stronger the monster will be, the more energy and power you can pour into it. Some notable examples of people with absurdly high Ba would be Bakura from the past, the Pre-Seto, and the Pharaoh, of course.
Well, like Pharaoh, duh.
Yeah. The Pharaoh is also a special case, but I'll cover that more when I'm onto the Ka section specifically. I think a fun little tidbit about Ba is the fact that life points in canon are the modern day representation of your spirit energy. So when Maximilian Pegasus discovered the stone tablets that had the monsters on them, he found out how the game was played when he found the Millennium Eye, and he decided to incorporate Ba as a part of the game mechanics, and he developed the life points. But he didn't make it so that people had different amounts. They made it so that everyone had a set amount at 8,000. Or, sorry, in the show it was 8,000.
I'm going to only say a good job, Pegasus. You inadvertently brought about the end of the world several times.
Well, truthfully, that is a good representation of the game, because Duel Monsters in modern age are a representation of shadow games from the past. Also, you only die in the dub. You're sent to the Shadow Realm. Sorry, you're sent to the Shadow Realm in the dub. You only die in the sub. Americans decided that kids couldn't handle death, so they made the Shadow Realm so that they could get their people back every so often.
And don't forget also turning them into cards.
True. Yes. Okay. So moving on to the Ka, like I said before, it is the physical manifestation of the user's soul, and the strength and form are completely unrelated, meaning the strength of the monster and what it looks like have no correlation, although the monsters they decide to use for the stronger ones, like Mahad and the Dark Magician, and Kasara as the Blue Eyes White Dragon, obviously those are some iconic monsters who are also very powerful in the game itself. You also have the previous reincarnation of Solomon Moto using the ancient form of Exodia in a pretty cool way. And then the Pharaoh has the ability to summon any monster he wants, really, He's able to summon Mahad as the Dark Magician. He's able to summon Obelisk, Slifer, and Ra. And then he's even able to combine them to summon Herakathy, the Divine Creator. So again, the Pharaoh is an exception. Not many people can use other monsters. But another interesting fact about Ka is the fact that good people, like if you have a good, pure soul, you have a benevolent monster or spirit. It's a spirit that usually looks more human, or like an angel or fairy or something like that. Something that looks more benign. Whereas a corrupt person will have a demon or a fiend of some sort. Another notable exception is the priest Seto. He actually does not have his own spirit monster. He doesn't have a Ka. However, he has absurdly high Ba. This ties into the fact that the Millennium items, the puzzle, the ring, the necklace, the rod, the eye, and the key, is that all 7?
Yeah.
I might have missed one.
The necklace.
I have a question about Ba.
Okay, go ahead.
If you pour your Ba into one of your monsters, do you like feel fatigue?
Yes, you would.
Okay.
So it's all that, and that scales with how much you use. I guess it's a spoiler because it's season 5, but this series it ended in 2004, so I'm gonna go ahead and spoil it. With Ba, the more you tie into your monster, the more likely you are to receive fatigue and damage. So the more, so if you only use a little bit of your Ba in a monster, it'll be weaker, but you take less damage if it's destroyed. Right? So we actually see a character die by using all of his Ba to complete an attack. And it's the character who eventually becomes the Dark Magician. His name is Mahad. So to answer your question, he releases all of his Ba into the form into the illusion magician that he's using. And what that does is it does transfer his soul into the monster, but he no longer has a physical being because, again, there's nothing left of him. He gave it all and he lost.
Now you can even give up your physical being.
His physical being just died. That's what I mean.
Oh,
He was committed to the fight.
There was no longer a tether between his soul and his physical body. They were completely separated. However, the reason I mentioned the Millennium items before is because the Millennium items were allowed ancient Egyptians to seal and steal Ka from others. So they had this ritual in which they could take the Ka from a criminal and they could judge the person to see if they were a good person or not. If they were a good person, they would put it back. If they were a bad person, it would be sealed in stone. And that would kill the criminal, but their monster would be sealed to be used by any of the high priests later on in defense of Egypt. And we see that with Obelisk, Ra, and Slifer, which aren't ones that were stolen. They are ones that were sealed because they were too powerful. And the only person with enough energy to use them was the Pharaoh. But they weren't his, like I said. They were sealed in stone tablets.
Devin, you are kind of glitching out right now.
Am I?
Yo, you look terrifying right now.
I don't think I do, because I can see everyone's thing.
Yeah, I can see. He looks fine on my screen.
Oh, to me, he looks like a freaking monster.
I might be. It might be my Ka. Anyway.
Probably.
So, I'm sorry. That was a side tangent. So the Millennium items are interesting as well, because they are made out of the Ka and Ba of 99 souls. Hence why the whole Millennium World arc even happened. It's a revenge story. It's pretty interesting. I think even if you don't like Yu-Gi-Oh, you should check out Season 5, because it does cover some wild plot twists and such that you don't necessarily have to be completely invested for. But the Millennium items were created by Akhenaten, who was the Atem's father's brother, so the Pharaoh's uncle. He went to this village called Kul Elna, which was the village of thieves, which was considered one of the most corrupt places in the world at that, or in Egypt at that time, and it does draw inspiration from like Sodom and Gomorrah, from the Bible. Um, so what they do is they go there with their army and they ransack and slaughter all of the people there and absorb their spirit energy and melt down their bodies to form the Millennium items. And the Millennium items are made from the blood sacrifices of again, the Village of Thieves. And it's called the Massacre of Kuelna, or the 99 Souls Massacre. The issue was they meant to have 100 souls, but there was a survivor who comes back later on because he wants revenge for his people. And he happens, because the ritual was incomplete, the remainder of the spirit energy flowed into him, so it artificially bolstered his ba. So he was able to summon a monster that was able to keep absorbing power, keep absorbing power, keep absorbing power. And I think it tied in very well because, again, he's the thief Bakura from the Village of Thieves, and his ability steals ba from other people. So the more people he beats, the more energy his monster has. I think it's called the Immortal Diabound is the name of the monster.
Created their own monsters in Egypt.
And then it becomes Zork. And I think, side note, the dub does a very funny thing because Zork is this demon with a dragon that comes out of his lower abdomen, but it looks like he has a dragon penis.
Oh my god.
So the dub edits him in such a way where he just looks like this big block comes out of his upper chest and his, like, from his knees up, and it all meets in the middle to form the dragon. So they just make him look completely goofy because they can't have a dragon penis, you know.
Of course they can. They just weren't man enough to do it.
It looks like Obelisk the Tormentor wearing like one of those T-Rex suits that comes out at like his waist. But they thought it looked, they thought it looked too phallic, so they adjusted that.
One of the most badass monsters in the freaking show, and they did that to it.
Correct. Yeah. I only have one. I have one last note on anything related to Ka, and that would be the specific relationship between Seto Kaiba and Kisara. Kisara, people may know, there's a card called Maiden with Eyes of Blue. It's based on her design because she was a fan favorite character when she showed up. If anyone doesn't know this, the Blue Eyes White Dragon was once a woman, specifically Kisara. She had this curse. She was albino, but she lived in Egypt. And so people were hunting her, and they were trying to like sell her for her blood because it was magic. And the way she works is she had this curse where if someone she cared about was in danger, and once a month she would turn into the Blue Eyes White Dragon and go on a rampage. So Seto Kaiba saved her about 3 times in her life, and they have this kind of will they won't they relationship throughout the series, where he keeps saving her because the rest of the Pharaoh's court is trying to sacrifice her to get the Blue Eyes White Dragon out of her, and the only time it ever seems to show up is when Seto is in danger. So she ends up sacrificing herself, and because he doesn't have a monster that's tied to his soul, she sacrifices herself, and they become bound as a master and a Ka. So she's so powerful that they can't contain her, and he has so much Ba that he can. He ends up becoming her master, and Blue Eyes White Dragon becomes tethered to every incarnation of the priest Seto, which becomes Seto Kaiba in the modern day. Hence why he has such an unhealthy obsession with this dragon.
You talking about the Blue Eyes Jet? Are you talking about the fact he like themed a lot of things after the Blue Eyes? Or...
And don't forget, he made a card after himself called Kaiba Man. That's him wearing a Blue Eyes White Dragon helmet.
You know, I've never heard this enough though, but people do not give Kaiba enough credit for his humbleness. Like,
yeah,
really
you know, he made himself a card.
Word, only a super humble man does that.
It's funny though, because the new retrain of Lord of D is also based on Kaiba. It's like Kaiba and Kaiba Man and Lord of D mixed together. But yeah, that was my last point about Ka. So I think unless you guys have any questions about Ka and La, we're free to move onto
The
Diego.
only thing I have to say about it is I do like how that power system works,
Mhm.
especially in the arc where they go to Egypt. The only thing I wish about that whole entire thing is that they were able to use that power system a little more in the other seasons because I feel like it's a lot harder to portray with only 4,000 life points. The only way I saw it was with Yugi kind of being like, "Destiny respects me. I get whatever I want."
Well, it does show itself. Okay, I guess I should say, whenever someone uses air quote a shadow game in the dub, like Merrick versus Bakura, Merrick versus Joey, Merrick versus Yugi, Arcana versus Yugi, etc., etc. They are using the traditional rules. That's why you see parts of their body fading, or like there's death at stake at the end. Um, and the reason why is because they're technically going back to the old rules, and that's why it takes the Millennium items to initiate a shadow game, because people today aren't in tune with their soul. Um,
Ah,
the
that
only
makes sense.
but the only thing I don't like that they didn't carry over is the fact that not everyone's Ba was initially equal. But there's no way to make a balanced game off of the fact that some of us have 2,000 life points, some of us have 8,000 life points. You know,
No,
like
I think that's fair. The Pharaoh probably
Yeah.
had like 50,000 life points. It'd
you
be
know,
fine.
like that's the thing. I would run an OTK deck if someone only had 1,000 for their Ba.
Do you
Like
even need an OTK deck?
I'd summon a Cyber Dragon and just win on my first turn. Uh, but yeah, so again, I like them. I do understand what you're saying as to why we didn't really see it in the modern day. And my arm keeps disappearing because I'm wearing camouflage.
Oh, I thought you were in a shadow game.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, we can
Yeah,
go
I
slowly
ahead
guess
moves
I'm winning
into the
because
shadow
my
realm.
body's still intact.
and we can go ahead and move on to Diego's topic.
All right, so I guess my power system is I'll be touching up a bit on both power systems from the manga One Piece,
Okay.
and I guess I'd like to start with at first in the world of One Piece there are these things called devil fruits, and if you eat a devil fruit, you gain the ability of a devil. Apparently, at least that's the mythos behind it. Um, and these abilities can range. There's three different types. There's Zone, which can turn you into any animal. There's Logia, which can let you turn and produce an element, so like fire, light, ice, magma, things that are like found naturally in the earth. And then there's Paramecia, which is basically anything that's not the other two. And
Which is super vague.
yeah, it's super vague, and I think it's less vague on purpose, just so he can have the creative ability to do whatever he wants, to have whatever type of fight he wants to have.
The only issue I have with it is that sometimes I'm gonna let you explain, obviously, but
Oh yeah, keep going.
the only issue I have
Oh.
with it sometimes is that some of the Paramecia Devil Fruit seem to be more like Logia.
Logia.
Yeah, like
Actually, I think there might be an explanation for that, but keep going, keep going.
yeah. I hope you do explain it, because if you could clarify it for me, that'd be fantastic. The one I'm gonna talk about, I don't think it's a spoiler. It's actually Luffy's, and they do leave it ambiguous as to what kind of paramecia he has, but because I think you're gonna cover it, but there are different
Yeah.
types of paramecia.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
Luffy has the Gum Gum fruit, or the Gomu Gomu Nomu.
yeah. No me.
No me,
No.
sorry, no me. My fault. I'm a failure of a One Piece fan. But it gives him the properties of rubber, and to me that makes it sound like
Like a Logia,
correct. Yeah.
right?
Yes. But yeah, that's the one thing I have against Paramecia fruit. But please continue explaining,
Alright,
because I want to know more.
I guess where I mean, I don't want to say headcanon, but from what we can observe is that there seems to be, I mean, let me think if there's any. There might be some exceptions. I don't think there is, but I think Katakuri might be the only exception to this. But Paramecia's, the way Paramecia's
Oh, and
differ
don't
from.
I just have to say this because I know you can go to the manga. I would
Don't. Yeah, I
yeah,
would go.
don't
Yeah,
spoil the manga. Yeah,
yeah. I'll stop at Whole Cake Island, which is
perfect, perfect.
yeah, you know. So the way paramecias differ from Logia is that paramecias, they can only do one. They can either be what their fruit is, or
Okay,
they can produce it. So like think Mr. 3, he's not wax. He can't turn into wax. Bullets don't go through him. He can't be. He can still be sliced and stuff,
okay,
but he can produce wax from his hand. While Luffy would be the other type, where he can't produce rubber, but he
okay,
is rubber. And so
okay.
Logias are both. They can both produce fire, like Ace. He can both produce fire,
Fair.
control fire, and then he is fire.
Okay.
So, and I think the only exception to that rule is Katakuri, which he recently came on to be known as a special paramecia because for some reason he is Mochi and he can produce it. So it's
Okay.
like so I guess I mean that's recently introduced. I don't know if we're ever gonna have, if there's ever gonna be a conversation about that or anything. I guess when Vegapunk shows up, we'll see. But the reason why I love Devil Fruit so much as a power system is that Oda incorporates it into his characterization. Oh my God, you're
This
eating,
man
dude! I
Max
am
got a
so
cookie.
hungry right now. You got
Look
a
at the big
Max,
cookie?
cookie.
Put
I
your cookie down.
Look how big this cookie is.
A
looks
chocolate
fantastic.
chip cookie. And you know what? That'll probably be a perfect segue to how ridiculously creative Oda is with these devil fruits. There is a guy that when he claps, he creates a biscuit. And apparently he can create an infinite amount of biscuits
So,
that
what
are
kind of devil fruit is he? Like, what category does he fall into?
he would be paramecia because he himself is not biscuits, but he can
Correct.
produce biscuits.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's just crazy how we have this entire fight where where Luffy is fighting against biscuits, and we know Luffy to be the glutton that he is. So of course Luffy's gonna eat
Eat
the
them.
biscuits. He's gonna eat them, and that's how he gets energy. You know what's crazy is that Luffy's rubber powers help him with his gluttony because they help him digest food faster, and so therefore him eating is almost like video game-esque, where it's like, oh, he eats
Yeah.
something and he gains health, and he
And
like,
it's funny because he does expand, but it only adds more mass.
yeah, exactly. Which is he even incorporates his moves into it, with Gear 4 Tank Man. I wasn't a big fan of that move specifically,
I'm
but it's
not
to
a fan
show
of that
that.
one at all.
But
If I
it's
could
to
say
show-
one thing
Yes.
Go on.
that I do like about, like, I don't know much about the One Piece power system, obviously, since I never watched One Piece or read it. It's been on my bucket list, but it scares me. It just does. But
Yep.
the one thing I do
Completely
know, and the one
understandable.
thing I've seen a lot about One Piece, is that I like the idea that the power system is not like, all right, I'm just going to involve me getting infinitely stronger and just punching you really hard. I like how, like, the abilities are all very unique and used in unique ways, because matchups really, I feel like, matter more than other
Yeah,
shows
matchups.
in One
Yes,
Piece.
matchups matter way more
It's
in
like,
One Piece than they
If
do
you
in.
got Luffy over here with rubber power, like, I've never watched, but I assume Luffy fighting somebody
Yeah.
with ice powers seems like a pretty bad matchup for somebody who
Yes,
uses rubber.
it is.
Or
He-
like,
Well, I mean,
did
that's
get his
also because
ass
it's
whooped
also
by-
because the ice user is busted.
oh, so that fight actually happens?
something like that. Something like it
Yeah,
happened. It's not
but-
really, kinda.
Well, what I appreciate about especially power systems like that, though, is that there's infinite possibilities.
Well,
There's
Exactly.
creativity.
there is a problem with the power system, and there was a retcon. If you don't mind, can I take over
Yeah,
for
please,
just a second?
please go on, please.
The issue with the power system, when he did introduce the types of devil fruit, there was a very glaring. There, like, one of the categories was like leagues ahead of the other two. Like, the other two could fight each other, but the third
What do you
category
mean?
was so.
Logia?
So Zoan, they turn into animals, or in one case, partially human. And, like, they could fight normal people.
Yeah. So they're like
Paramecia-
werewolves. They're like werewolves. They can
yeah.
turn into their actual animal or the hybrid
Correct.
form. And
then-
yeah.
Paramecia, they could fight regular people, or regular people could fight them. once you get to Logia, it's kind of almost impossible.
Yeah.
So
But I wouldn't call it a glaring flaw, though. I would just call
I
it
mean,
that it.
initially it was because if you were a Logia type, you were pretty much
Automatically.
unbeatable.
Yeah, automatically unbeatable.
Yeah,
To some degree.
except by another Logia type who had a good matchup against you.
Or just another matchup, like for example, Crocodile. His weakness was water. Like,
correct, but it was also plot armor how he lost. Now, if it was a water devil fruit user, which can that exist?
I don't see why not.
I don't think that would exist. No. Okay.
No, Max.
Well, here's something I didn't mention at all, which I should have mentioned, is that when you eat one of these devil fruits, you gain a curse, and that curse is you're unable to swim in large bodies of water. If water is above your knees, if that much of your body is submerged in water, you become weakened. And if you're fully submerged, you literally cannot do anything. You can't move.
Okay, and that actually brings another question I have about these devil fruit. Since I'm a Novik, and so anybody else who's watching probably has these questions also.
Yeah.
Can you eat more than one of these fruit?
Oh, no. Okay. Yeah, you really can't. There is someone that has eaten 2 devil fruits, but apparently it's speculation that there's something different about him, that there's something that's allowing him to do it. It's not just.
But like, what happens if you
initially what they talk about with devil fruit is that if you were to eat multiple, you die.
Yeah.
Or like
because just imagine the curse. The curse one gives you is you can't swim. So imagine the second one might kill you or will kill you.
Can't breathe.
Right? You can't live in air. The air rejects you or something. I don't know.
You know what? Fair enough though. Like if I get 2 fruit but I gotta deal with no air, I'm just gonna go to space.
Which is funny because that actually brings up. I don't know if this is cartoonish logic or if this is the cartoon logic from One Piece or it's an ability Logias really have. But Enel went to the moon. He just on his boat. He went to the moon.
Was he the Thunder guy?
Yeah, and he can.
The one who I don't know if treated like a god.
Yeah, I don't know if he can breathe in space, or if it's like a Logia ability, or if it's just that people can breathe in space in One Piece.
So what I think it might be, and again, this is 1000% headcanon because there's no confirmation either way. Because he becomes lightning. Last time I checked, lightning didn't have to breathe.
Yeah.
And all lightning is the tearing of atoms. So his body being in a lightning form rather than a physical body, his lungs would also be lightning. So he wouldn't. I don't think he would have to breathe in that form. But I will. The one thing I will say about what you said before about water weakening the person, we only see one instance where a devil fruit user is even able to use their ability in water, and that's when Luffy was fighting Arlong, when he got knocked into the water and they pulled his head out.
Oh yeah, that might be true. That's not really him using his ability, or their ability are still able to be used. That's why, like for example, Max brought up ice. So ice would just be able to freeze the water before he's knee deep into it, and he'll be able to create a platform and stuff like that. So I guess you could still use your abilities. You're just weak. You wouldn't be able to stretch yourself.
Even Aokiji is a little bit different because his ice, he freezes the top of the water, so he never actually goes in it. He makes a solid platform. Yeah, he makes a platform, and he rides his bicycle across it, so that he never has to be submerged. Oh yes, Max, he rides his bicycle across the water.
I don't know who this is, but I love him already.
Yeah, he likes to sleep. He's pretty chill, literally. And he rides a bike across the ocean.
He's a Marine, and his ideology is lazy justice. So yeah, but just to bring up another point is that Oda also uses these abilities to characterize his characters and make them almost their personalities match their powers. So for example, Luffy's a rubber boy, so rubber always bounces back. So you could tell that in a fight, no matter how many times you beat down Luffy, he's always gonna get right back, just like rubber. And this goes on to almost, I don't want to say all of them. I'm sure there are some exceptions where he was just like, I just want to see this ability or something like that. But for a lot of characters, even side characters, he utilizes their abilities to create their personality. So like Mr. Two from Burrito Works, who is
Was he the sword guy?
no, he wasn't the sword guy. He was the guy that when he touches his face, he can change into someone else that he touched
Gotcha.
with his
That's
other
pretty
hand.
cool.
Yeah, so his personality, well, his power is that he can shapeshift into people, and in order for you to shapeshift, you have to be kind of comfortable being almost any gender or being anyone, you know, being who you are. So he himself being kind of
Oh, he was the guy with the swans.
yes,
The
he
little-
was
Okay.
yes, he was Okama. I don't really know what that translates to. I think that translates into crossdresser.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's what it is.
and then that and that even goes. There's actually someone in One Piece that can their abilities is to control hormones within the body, and he can change people's genders. And it's so fitting that he's part of the Revolutionary Army, which is fighting for freedom, and he would represent the freedom to switch genders. And I just feel like that's very to be who you want to be. That's very before its time. You know, this came out, I want to say like 2009, 2008, and I feel like that is a very prevalent topic now. So it's just crazy that that connection was made. You know what I'm saying? The themes.
So it's funny. It's
wild.
funny you say that because what you said about I just want to see this power. A lot of people's powers, even if they don't have a devil fruit in One Piece, also reflect their personality as
Oh
well.
yes, and
Yeah.
their design, their character design. Doesn't Luffy just look like someone that would stretch, like the way he's dressed? Like
Well,
he doesn't
the
wear
issue-
long sleeves and stuff.
correct.
You know?
Yeah, he never wears long sleeves. He doesn't even have sleeves on his top. You're right.
Yeah.
The one I will say is a little sketch is Sanji's sister. Is that before or after Whole Cake Island? That's before, right?
That's during Whole Cake Island. Raiju,
Okay, cool. So I can
The
talk
pink
about
girl?
it. Yes. Yeah, the pink one. Her ability is a little she has like vacuum. I wanted to word that another way, but
No,
vacuum.
no. It's not. She's not a vacuum. Her ability is poison,
No, but she can like
but the way she takes out the poison is through vacuuming some
Yeah.
stuff. Yes.
yeah, she hits that maximum suck no jutsu, and it's a little jarring. I'm not
It's
gonna
a
lie.
little
And
seductive. I mean, I guess that could be. I mean, it is kind of weird that she would be that seductive and she's hanging around with her brothers all the time. That is kind of sucks,
yeah,
you know?
it's that that's like a weird one. So I feel like that one was an ability given for plot.
For
But
plot.
for the most, I'm sorry.
For plot.
Yeah, for plot, because they they had to get the poison out somehow. So
Oh,
might as
from
well.
Luffy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would consider that. Yeah, that one doesn't really play into her. I mean, I guess I could do some more. I mean, I don't know. I don't think Oda characterized her like he would some other side characters. but
Exactly. That's,
I don't think
that's
he's
what
done with her though yet. So
Me neither. I just think for specifically that one ability, I think it's just to highlight that there are exceptions to the rule of
Yeah.
character.
Yeah, there's so many characters. There's no way. Oda would have to be like inhuman to actually do that to almost everyone that has an
I
ability.
will say the woman from Baroque Works, the one who can make herself lighter and heavier. But
Yeah.
every time someone mentioned her weight, she had like a complex about it. I think that was handled very well.
Oh yeah, he gives them gags too that reflect
Yeah.
their personality and would affect their ability sometimes. Yeah.
I also like how Buggy is his ability is to split his body, but he prefers to turn himself into a car, a buggy, and he's a clown.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's literally hilarious. And then here's the thing: is that a lot of times that helps. Like Buggy's ability is just cool. Like imagine seeing that. All right, now I don't want to. I kind of want to get into this just a little bit, but a lot of the reasons why people can't see a live action happening for One Piece, even though it's about to happen, is because of the abilities are just so wacky and out of this world. And so it's not just fire. I'm just not CGIing fire in front of someone's
Yeah.
hand. I'm
You're
literally making their hand.
stretching my
Yeah.
arm.
Yeah, and you got to make it look good. So,
I think there's a woman that turns into snow, but she's a paramecia, not a logia.
no,
she ate
she's a Logia.
Oh, is
No,
she?
no, it's Logia. Yeah, she's Logia.
That's
Okay.
a hell of a budget, though. That freaking do all that. I don't know where they're getting the money for that. Kind
Yeah,
of
Yeah,
stuff.
but
Go ahead.
But recently things like recent shows have been giving me hope, like Umbrella Academy. I don't know if you guys heard of that. I feel like they do the
I love
ability
Umbrella
very
Academy.
well. Yeah, they do the things are kind of wacky in that show. Like, you know, Luther's kind of comical how big he is, you know?
Matter of fact, hold on one second.
He's literally
Like,
built like someone from One Piece. Like
comment down below if you'd like to see an episode on Umbrella Academy. If we break the anime mold at any point.
I
Um,
would love to do
I
an
agree.
episode on that.
I think
Man.
Umbrella Academy would be a
It's
good one.
topical too. You
Man,
know,
I have to watch that.
I think you would enjoy it.
And
Probably
I
would.
think I also like the way they handle some other powers in Umbrella Academy as well. So I do think Ben and Diego specifically. Hey, that's funny. Your name's Diego.
I don't like
But-
that character. So.
I actually really like Diego.
Really?
I find it fun. I figured you wouldn't like him.
Yeah, I'm more of the 5 type of dude. I got the 5
Yeah,
vibe. I mean,
yeah.
Like I have to 5 and Klaus. Those 2 are the best in my opinion. They just be.
I
They're
like a
just good.
character. I like a character that was introduced in season 2 the best out of all of them. Lila, the Indian girl.
Oh yeah.
She's by far my favorite. So I'm not gonna. It's a spoiler. So I'm gonna go ahead and go back to One Piece.
Yeah. Let's go back to.
So you said that show is giving you hope for
Yeah, shows like that, and another movie that does powers really well in the live action is Project Power, which is actually a movie. I feel like you guys would love it. It stars
that
Jamie
one's on
Foxx.
Netflix as well,
Yeah,
correct?
that one's on Netflix. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it stars Jamie Foxx, and they do the abilities there so well. Actually, one of the abilities is actually helps us understand how they would do some abilities in One Piece live action. So like Luffy's Red Hawk ability, where it's fire, is holy crap, I cannot think of the word. But it's inspired by this animal, a shrimp, which can punch really fast in the
The
water.
pistol shrimp.
The pistol shrimp, yeah. And there's an ability like that in the movie, and it's done really well. And I feel like
So
they
like
could do that.
it like condenses like the joint and then shoots it out really fast, right? Or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. To the power where it can create like mini explosions in the water. And the great thing about the Devil Fruit's power system is that it leads to a lot of simplicity, but more creativity. So like you could be complex and creative, but there's also creativity in the simplicity of things. So like Luffy's power was rubber, and I feel like his Gear Second transformation is one of the most creative ways to power up your main character. Who would have thought that someone of rubber would introduce doping, what athletes do, doping, which is putting more oxygen into their bloodstream in order to prepare so their muscles can perform better. So by him accelerating, him just using his natural ability of rubber, being able to shrink and condense and stuff like that, he's able to pump his blood and create a doping effect around his body, which gives him oxygen, and he's able to use abilities that he wasn't able to do before, like Soru, which lets you move so fast that I can't see.
So how did they
So
end
like
up
that's complex, but that's comes from a simple power, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
So my question is, because we are getting close to the time, my question is, how did they end up balancing Logia?
Oh, okay. So this is how they balanced Logia, which is actually one of my problems with One Piece, is that they had you believing that you would have to be super creative to be Logia, to beat a Logia, so you'd have to find their ability or something like that, you'd have to come prepared, whatever it is. But it turns out that there's this other ability, this aura type ability called Haki, and what this is just ambition. The more ambition you have, the stronger you are. The more you can will things to happen. So if you want to will someone unconscious, it'll happen. And there's this one that it's like an armor, kind of like Nen chakra, it's an armor around your body, chi, and it can hit elements. It can even burn. It can even cut through fire. And so that's how you would fight.
So are there different types of hockey?
Yes, there are 3 different types of hockey. There is King's hockey, which only 1 in a million people have, or 1 in 10 million, I believe. I think it's 1 in a million. And then there's two that anyone can train for, and that's observation hockey, which is kind of like precognition or awareness. You could see through walls. You know what's happening around you. You know if there's ill intent going against you.
Okay.
You can fight with your eyes closed, stuff like that. Or you can even drive it to the point where you can have precognition. You can literally see into the future. And then
That seems lit.
yeah, Eno actually used his observation hockey in conjunction with his devil fruit, and he could hear what people were saying across an island. Literally had the ability of a god. He could hear the conversations people were having.
Because electromagnetic waves.
Yes,
And he was.
exactly.
That's cool. That's actually kind of cool.
Exactly. So he could tell where people were, and then in that area, he would put electric magnetic waves to vibrate into his brain, I guess. So kind of like how it would be for like phones and stuff. And then there's armament hockey, which is creating aura around your arm, around the sword, around the weapon, and that will allow you to deal more damage with your willpower, or attack even a Logia. Even Logias aren't intangible to it.
Yeah, so they're not able to phase through the attack.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. But however, if they have observation hockey, they can manipulate their body to move out the way before. So instead of having to physically dodge, they can elementally dodge it by just putting a hole where you would hit them. So, and that in itself is a way to, you know, I just find it's very creative. It's very, I just love the power system. It really, a lot to talk about. There's a lot to discuss.
I will say it does balance the series in a way where like you don't have to have everyone in Endgame One Piece be a Logia user, because that you could suffer a pitfall like something like Naruto, where everyone needed either a dojutsu or sage mode at the end in order to do anything. Versus this, where you even give the people who decide they don't want to be a devil fruit user the ability to fight devil fruit users.
Exactly.
I do like that. I also do like that there's a visual aesthetic change when using hockey. Mostly armament, because sometimes Conqueror's hockey doesn't have a visual change. But
now he's doing like black lightning in the manga.
Exactly.
The black lightning is coming up a lot, which I think is pretty cool. It almost feels like I feel like One Piece is an epic in a way, like more than a shonen, more than a battle shonen, more than just an anime. I feel like it's an epic in the way of like Beowulf, where it's like these monstrosities are like when you eat a Logia devil fruit, you're not just, you know, you can't just produce. You literally are the element of fire. You literally are lightning. And just think about how powerful those things are. It gives me like there's like an element of hype and grandeur.
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 You had it.
And grandeur to it, that it just makes it makes it fun to watch. Like these guys are so strong with their will. They're cracking the air, making lightning sparks into the air with just their will alone. Like that is, you know. It plays a lot into why Luffy is so strong, because he has the strongest will of them all. So, you know,
I have to check this out.
It's kind of like spiral energy in a way, but more like you actually need to train it. But you do need willpower. You can't just train it. You have to have the willpower to train it. If that makes sense.
It's not like spiral energy where every human has it. Like some people can go their whole lives and never experience hockey.
Exactly.
But on that, Max, you have any last-minute questions for Diego about hockey or devil fruit? Either one.
Yeah, as someone who's never watched the show, do you have anything that you want to see from devil fruits, or?
Well, from what I've heard about, like I really do like how the power system is not just like one-dimensional in that it falls into the Dragon Ball Z pitfall of like, all right, to feel a sense of progression, we just have to make the stakes higher and stronger until. Well, let's just put the universe on the line. Like I like how they kind of kept it in the realm of, okay, we are on Earth or whatever this version of Earth is, and abilities aren't measured by how hard I can punch something or break something. It's about how can I use this ability to give myself an advantage against my opponent, which is something I find really interesting and actually makes me want to read it.
You know, the thing, I will agree with Max on that, because you still find out that Crocodile is still a relative character. Like he's still strong.
He's still strong.
Yeah,
he got beat on very early on. Yeah,
exactly. He got beaten the second or third arc. in One Piece?
He's relevant still,
The
right?
second saga,
The second saga,
but
yeah.
like it was like the ninth arc or something.
Yeah, so he got beat very early on, but he's still relative to the people around him now, and it's really cool because he's not like this wimp of a character.
Throwaway, yeah. He's
Exactly,
not
he's not
a
like a
throwaway
villain of the
character.
week kind of thing. Exactly,
It,
exactly.
it's not
Yeah.
falling into the trap of Piccolo, other characters that like are the big bad at one point, and then they just become irrelevant at some point. What
Oh
I
yeah,
like about
because of the scale, yes.
yeah, and what I like the idea and what makes me actually want to read this or watch. I'm probably gonna read it. I'm not gonna watch it. I don't have the patience.
Yo, if
But-
you read it, you're gonna enjoy it so much well. Because here's the thing about reading it too, is that Oda puts it, and I'm not gonna say his choreography is like on par with like Kishimoto or even Akira Toriyama, but the abilities lend to some very creative panel working, where it's just crazy to see Luffy like extended. You know, it's just like the way he can Luffy extends his arm, moves along with the panel, so it makes it like a fun reading experience.
Yo,
That makes
I distinctly remember One Piece panel where Luffy is like he's like this and like he has his arm punched, but the arm goes through the next 3 panels
Yes.
and you
So time
see it
for- yeah.
landing a punch on the 3rd panel. So like the second panel is just movement lines, and then the last one is the impact. But it looks like Luffy's stretching, so you see something like
Yeah.
that on the page.
Yeah, and it causes your eyes to those 3 panel breaks cause your eyes to linger just enough for you to be like, he went the distance, like it was
Yeah.
it was far away. So
Yeah,
it's
but
it's
definitely
really cool.
sounds like something I want to eventually read. Hopefully, I get to it sooner rather than later. But it's something I'm gonna definitely check out.
All right.
Yeah, they're,
Any last minute questions at all?
No, I'm good.
All right. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. I'm Devin,
I'm Diego.
And I'm Max.
and we've been Baka Burrito. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like our content, and comment down below what you'd like to see next. And upcoming next week on Wednesday and Friday, we have another episode of Burrito Banter, and Wednesday we have another episode of Breakfast Burrito. Have a good one, guys.